I think it was Sunday I got in our pool, and oh my gosh, it was so cold.
Oh, after all the rain.
Yes. I was like, oh, I just get on my little floater and like try not to touch very much of my body in the water. Just like get on top. I have like that, it's like that thick, so I'm just like, and Ross hates cold water. And I said, Ross, you know, you don't even want to get your foot in this one because I said, it's cold. I even think it's cold. You do not want to get in yet.
I just get in. I just go.
That's the best way to do it when it's
that
cold.
Call the Broken Arrow City Council meeting to order. We have invocation by Pastor Chauncey.
Your microphone's on, but I can't hear you. But I don't know that we can hear you.
Hello?
There you go.
That's better.
Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Let's bow our heads as we pray. Lord, we are thankful for your blessings upon Broken Arrow and for all that you are doing in this great city. Tonight, God, we lift up each of our council members and all of our other city leaders. We are thankful for all of the plans that you have in motion to keep this great city in advancing. And we are thankful for all of the finances and resources needed to fund each project. Now, Lord, we thank you for your hand of protection that surrounds BA at all times. And we lift up tonight's meeting and ask that you would guide every discussion and that you bring a resolve to any unresolved issues. May everything that is said and done bring honor and glory to your name. We pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. Roll call.
Green.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Parks.
Here.
Gillespie.
Here.
Wimpy.
Here. Please stand and join Vice Mayor Gillespie for the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, ma'am. I have item G to be pulled for discussion. Are there any other items to be removed from the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda minus item G. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call. Item G is approval of and authorization to execute a mutual aid agreement between the City of Broken Arrow and the City of Coweta for building inspection services.
You know, I just wanted this pulled to let everybody to recognize that we do enjoy working with the communities around us. In this case, especially in Coweta, we have a committee that's headed up by Mr. Schwab there, working with Widener County. There's a lot of development going on in Widener County. So I think that our building inspectors working with the city of Coweta can't do anything but help build that up. So my accolades to Coweta and Broken Arrow for working together, and hopefully we can do the same thing in Widener County. So I'd make a motion that we approve the request.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. All right.
Counselor Parks. I need your vote.
Oh, sorry. And I still vote yes.
Thank you.
All right. Item 8 is citizens' opportunity to address the council, and there are none. Item 9.
Item 7. I'm sorry, Mayor.
Oh, I just skipped over an entire section. We're just going to move right along. Okay, item 7. 7A, presentation and annual programming update by the Broken Arrow Military History Center. Sorry, General.
I understand this is one of your favorite things, too.
I'm here this evening to introduce General Mancino with the Military History Center. They are here to present their annual organizational update, and he is quite the what?
Public speaker.
He's pretty amazing because I sent him his reminder yesterday morning. So anyway.
Well, the good news is they're only holding me to 5 minutes. I appreciate this opportunity to visit the council, especially since Mayor Wimpy's on our board of directors in our deal. This is really the only time I get to see her. No, seriously, she's a good attender at our meetings, and we're glad to have a representative from the city along with Lori. This is a busy month for us at the museum. As you can see, our main fundraiser is up and down Main Street, and since we've been doing that for the last few years, since we're 501c, we always have our hands out. But those flags have been a really good thing. Interestingly enough, Veterans Day, we don't have near as many banners because most of the veterans are like, oh, I don't need a banner, I don't want a banner. But so if you got a husband or a father or a brother that's still living and they want a banner to come up, Veterans Day is the day to do it. We've got our golf tournament this Saturday. You're going to probably come out there and help us check golfers in, drive around on the cart, drink a beer. No, you don't do that. But and then on the 14th we have Flag Day.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to pre-approve your report next time.
Yes, you need to check it out. The other thing that was interesting is, as you know, Kenny Collins was really a great member of our board, and he passed away. So his church dedicated a flagpole, and we went out and raised the flag. But when he died, he asked for contributions to the museum, and so now we have over $7,000 in a scholarship fund. So we're going to be approving a scholarship fund for one of the Broken Arrow JROTC in Kenny Collins' name. So that's a good thing.
That is.
And the other thing is, we've been meeting with the city for the upcoming board bond issue, and there's been some interesting proposals made at that bond issue, and we're working very closely with those people. Other than that, that's about all we've got to say, except we really enjoy being a part of the city, and this city sure helps its veterans a lot, as it's known statewide. Any questions? Oh, one other thing.
Okay.
The Oklahoma Military Heritage Foundation, Oklahoma City, inducts people into their Hall of Fame. And normally they induct about 6 or 7 people that have Silver Stars, Medal of Honors, and they induct a couple of people for services. And I was fortunate enough to be inducted. Then they've come out with another program they call the Hall of Honor. And our museum is going to be the Ernest Childers chapter of their Hall of Honor. And what that is that allows us to induct people into the Hall of Honor, military veterans or not even military veterans, that have contributed significantly to veterans or veterans affairs. And so we made 6 nominations for last year, and we're going to make about 6 nominations again for this year. And I look around this room and I see several people that would be deserving of that nomination. So that's a new exciting thing at the museum. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it is cool.
We have a Flag Day ceremony coming up.
We do, 14th of June, Flag Day. We try to get the music cut down. No, that's,
No, they're great.
it is, it's good. But anybody else have any questions? I think that was 3 minutes and
you.
42 seconds. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General.
Thank you, sir. All right, 7B, presentation of a citation of congratulations by Oklahoma State Representative Ross Ford to the City of Broken Arrow City Clerk Curtis Green for being sworn in as a Regional 4 Director for the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. Representative Ford.
Well, thank you very much again, Mayor and Council, for allowing me to come. It's really an honor to get to work or live in a city and represent the city that has so many outstanding employees that I think I could be here every council meeting giving a citation to one of our dedicated employees. And so it's always on my honor and my privilege to be here and present this. And again, it just really makes me feel really good when you're friends with the person that you're getting to present to. And I do call him a friend. But this citation of congratulations to Curtis Green, Region 4 Director, International Institute of Municipal Clerks. Whereas Curtis Green, Broken Arrow City Clerk since 2018, has been named the Region 4 Director of International Institute of Municipal Clerks, and has been sworn in on May 22nd, 2024 in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. He will serve Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas with more than 640 members. And whereas since 1947, the International Institute of Municipal Clerks is a global recognized nonprofit board serving as the leading organization for municipal clerks, shaping the profession and providing invaluable resources to its members. With membership of approximately 14,500 worldwide, including 10,000 in the United States, the IIMC is a vital platform for professional development and networking. And whereas during his time at the Broken Arrow office, Curtis Green and his dedicated staff were responsible for a wide range of duties mandated by state statute. Because of their incomparable work, Curtis and his staff were recently recognized by the City Council for the week of May 11th as Professional Municipal Clerks Week. And whereas it's fitting and proper that the Oklahoma House of Representatives, acting on behalf of the citizens of the great state of Oklahoma, does hereby commend and congratulate Curtis Green on his new role and extend him our highest regards. Now, therefore, pursuant to the motion of Representative Ross Ford, the Oklahoma legislature extends to Curtis Green sincere congratulations and directs the citation to be presented.
All right, Curtis, yeah. And Aaron's gonna get it. Thank you, Aaron.
I like the green cover on the citation there.
Congratulations, Curtis.
All right, item 7C, presentation regarding installation of fiber optic telecommunication services in Broken Arrow. Rocky? Yes? No?
I think we're gonna table
I
it.
think we're gonna
Oh, just,
Being tabled to the
make a
17th,
motion
Mayor.
to table that.
thank you.
I'll second that motion to table.
We have a motion and a second to table item 7C. Okay, and then the other table is 9B. Got it. 7D, presentation of in-house advertising's Visit Broken Arrow Bullseye Marketing Concept. Michaela Barton. And Aaron.
Aaron.
And Aaron.
Or just Aaron.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council, and Mr. Spurgeon. I'm really excited to present to you something that the Visit Broken Arrow Board, staff, and in-house marketing, which is our marketing company for the tourism department, have been working on for a few months now. And you guys are getting the first kind of sneak peek, other than the board, of this exciting campaign we have coming up. So a few things to note. This is something brand new. Broken Arrow, I have not been around for all of Broken Arrow's existence, but I'm going to assume we've never done something like this. So I'm really excited to do something new and fresh and exciting. So we'll see how this goes. The public will decide if this is a forever campaign or a 6-month campaign. So I'm really excited. So we have a new character coming to town. And so to back up a little bit, as part of the strategic plan that was created back in 2020, part of that was to A, get a marketing company, which check, and B, use Broken Arrow's unique name as part of our marketing campaign. Broken Arrow is kind of a unique name, so what can we do with that? And our marketing company came up with this concept. They took the arrow idea, they ran with it, and they made us an archer superhero as kind of our mascot for Broken Arrow tourism. So his name is Bullseye, and let me
You
get
would
to my
have put a
spot.
goatee on him. He kind of looked like Jerry Schuber.
He was actually our model for it. No, I'm just joking. So here's Bullseye.
He actually has a broken arrow on his chest.
Yes. So we have a broken arrow on his chest. His colors actually are part of the mural's colors. So they kind of pulled those colors, which is one of our main landmarks now in Broken Arrow, and they made Bullseye with this. And he's an archer, and his arrows will actually have suction cups on them instead of like a pointy arrow, you know? And so the idea is it'll kind of be like the elves we did a few years ago where we like popped up in different places. So Bullseye will like shoot his suction cup arrow. It'll land on like Water's Edge, and then he'll talk about why you should go and visit Water's Edge or whatever the shop, restaurant, or location might be. So he'll pop up around town. It'll be one of those where's Bullseye gonna be next sort of things. And it's a really exciting, new, fun idea. Part of it, and one of my favorite selling points was we could do the normal couple walking down Main Street historical thing, but everyone's doing that. And Broken Arrow isn't like everybody. I wanted something that was unique, just like Broken Arrow, that would catch the attention and eye of visitors and even the people in Broken Arrow who've said, I've never been to the Rose District, which is just crazy to me. And so we wanted to get that eye-catching thing and get everyone excited about all that there is to see and do in Broken Arrow. And then, you know, get people talking. That's also the best form of marketing, is without word of mouth. So if we can get people talking about Bullseye, then we got people talking about Broken Arrow and what there is to do. And so this is kind of the vibe that it'll look like. It's kind of retro, but superheroes are so cool right now. They're cool with, you know, the people who read the comic books back in the day, and they're cool with the kids who are seeing, you know, all these new Marvel movies. So it's appealing to all generations, which is really exciting for me because we want people of all ages to enjoy Broken Arrow and everything that there is to do in Broken Arrow. So this is him, and can we go to one of those links by chance? We do have a little bit of animation ready to go, so this is one of the first things that will go out via social media.
In a world where families lack adventure, a new hero emerges. Introducing Bullseye, the official superhero of Broken Arrow. He doesn't fight crime, he fights boredom. Wherever there's blandness, he finds flavor. He's the hero you didn't know you needed, but can't live without. Where will Bullseye pop up next? Follow his journey and discover everything that Broken Arrow has to offer. Visit Broken Arrow, where families find fun.
So that's Bullseye. We'll see him on social media first, and then he'll expand into other places. We're also working right now on an ad that I'm really excited about. That'll be at the airport. So that'll be super splashy, and I'm very excited about that. And then as Bullseye keeps going, we've also talked about on the board, like getting him a mascot, you know, costume, so someone can walk around and be Bullseye and interact with kids and families and that sort of thing. And so, yeah, we're also excited about the animation. Animation's kind of in the marketing world. You can control it. It's cost effective, and we can trust that Bullseye won't go do something that does not represent Broken Arrow. We have a lot of control over him. So we're really excited about this. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
And he'll be all over town, right? Not just the Rose District.
Correct,
Okay.
yes, all over Broken Arrow.
Got it.
I love it.
I
I
love
love
it.
it. It's so fun.
We will be at the airport, right?
Yes, yeah.
We're
So
gonna
We
start
need to make a
advertising at the
Bullseye
airport
doll,
pretty
like you can buy them.
I am looking at like action figures that we could hand out at events.
He's not a doll.
Yeah. It's an action figure.
Yes. Yes, get that
Does it need
right.
to be hard plastic and not fluffy? Is that what you're saying?
I was thinking fluffy, squishy.
I will tell you when the advertising company was showing the board, the visitors board, they were just as excited as we were. So this is something they've never done before either, and they were really excited to do it for us. So it was really neat, and it has been several months in the making, and you've done a good job on this, Erin. Thank you for that.
so much. It's really cool.
Yeah, I
I
love
think
it.
It's gonna be fun.
I think it's very cutting edge and something that other cities aren't going to have, so well done, team.
And if they do have it, then
The
that means they're
kids will-
copying us.
It's
so.
true.
Yeah.
I can see kids seeing this and saying, I want to go there. So,
Yeah.
so wherever Bullseye is, will this be there so you can take pictures with it, or
Yeah, we can absolutely do that.
some? Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know if there would be something where they, like, if you go there and
It's gotta
Yeah,
be
yeah, we
Do a
can set him
hashtag
up
and-
easily wherever, you know, the place of the week or month or hour after. Often we change it. We haven't gotten those nitty-gritty
Okay.
details
Yeah.
figured out, but yeah, we can absolutely have him there and make it a little selfie spot. So
yeah,
yeah.
it'd be fun.
Cool.
There you go. Love it.
I love it.
Thank you.
Cute. Good job.
Good job.
Good job,
It's
team.
amazing.
Maybe we need a selfie before we leave.
We do. I want a picture with Bullseye before.
We want to
Don't
get our
take him
picture with
away.
Bullseye, so can you leave him there? Okay, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Well, when around.
Lisa's gonna take
Bullseye.
him home.
I'm gonna take him.
Oh, we could be like Flat Stanley, and we could carry him around places.
I knew you'd like this. That's why we're kind of previewing it.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Item 7E, presentation and discussion of upcoming survey about road improvements. Now for something exciting. Aaron.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron Hoffner. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilors, Mr. Spurgeon, Aaron McCulloch, Director of Communications for the City of Broken Arrow. I am actually going to play off of Aaron's presentation, and I'm going to put the bullseye squarely on our micro survey about road improvements. If you remember, let's go back to earlier this year. For about 31 days, we had a very comprehensive citizen survey that went out to the public. And with that survey, you can go ahead and advance, Dustin. With that survey, we had 3 goals with that, and that was to get the level of satisfaction that citizens had with the city services that we provide. We wanted to get their perception, the overall opinion about the community, and then, of course, we wanted to get an idea of some potential future capital improvements projects as we near the 2026 general obligation bond election. We had just under 4,000, just under 3,950 responses. Very strong positive response from the community, fantastic engagement from folks who took the survey. And I put this bullet point on the third one because it's probably one of my favorites, and that was 80% of the folks who took it had a very strong response to the quality of life and living here. I just thought that was really important. It was just really indicative of the responses that we saw with that comprehensive survey. So with the plan that we have with our vendor, we also have these micro surveys that we can put out over the next 2 years. And Mr. Spurgeon really wanted us to dive deeper into talking about roadway improvements as being the first one. These are going to be much shorter surveys. So whereas that first one was about 20 minutes long, this one is only going to be about 5 minutes. They're going to be more specific and it's going to be more targeted. It's going to have a bullseye on it, if you will. We're going to keep these up for 3 weeks. Whenever the comprehensive survey was out there, we had it up for 4. We got the majority of our data after about 2.5, 3 weeks. And so in order for us to be able to get some of these responses back, get it turned, and get the next micro survey out there, we decided to go with 3 weeks. If that doesn't work, we can always leave it open. And then this micro survey, we're going to focus on the one component in the mobility, which was about ease of traffic flow. We got 40% positive rating on this. And you can see I put the rest of the remarks up there, excellent, good, fair, and poor, so it kind of gives you an idea of how they all broke down. This was a very similar rating when you compared it to the national benchmark, and it really wasn't a surprise, as Mr. Schwab said last week. You know, we're not that bedroom community anymore. We are a growing community. We're the 4th largest city in the state, and so traffic flow is going to be one of those things that it's going to be a challenge for us, but it's also an opportunity for us. With this micro survey, we have 40. We worked with engineering and construction, the transportation manager, Zach Smith, and we came up with 40 different locations around town. We broke it up into 3 different sections, the first being 10 locations of north-south roadways. Folks will be able to go on and they'll be able to rate each of these 10 from strongly support, neither support nor oppose, and strongly oppose. They'll only be able to click one bubble at one time, and I should say, since it's on the record, that these bubbles do not reflect the opinion of anybody else here. It's just to illustrate the fact that you can only have one bubble selected for each of the streets. The next one's going to consist of 20 east-west roadways as potential capital improvement projects, and again, the survey takers will be able to rate those from strongly support to strongly oppose. Then the third is going to be a list of 10 intersections as capital improvement projects. And again, same thing, strongly support to strongly oppose, and only one bubble per potential capital improvement project. This is where we really like this is the fact that if we didn't list one that is really important to the person who's taking the survey, they're going to have the opportunity to write in an answer here, and then that will obviously go into consideration with some of the others. So like I said earlier, about 5 minutes. We expect to launch probably this week. I'm looking at probably Wednesday to do that. It'll run for about 3 weeks. And then some of the potential future micro surveys that we're looking at are connectivity. We've actually already started working on that one. We're looking at possibly parks and recreation and utilities as well. And with that, as General Mancino, I think I went 3 minutes, 41 seconds. So I'll answer any questions that you may have.
I think this will be good because it was a long survey, and so to be able to dial down just a little bit deeper and get real, true ideas from people of what they want to see would be good, so.
Absolutely, I agree. I think we're going to get some really good data out of this and be able to see what it is that the community is looking forward to as far as 2026 is concerned.
And it keeps the talking points being the bond issue.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? It brings it to the forefront, you know what I mean, as we go along.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
I really like the end option where they have the opportunity to write in.
Yeah.
That way, if they don't necessarily agree with the things that we think are priorities, we can still hear from our citizens what's priority to them and take that into consideration.
That was a really important feature, because we don't have all the answers, and we really need the community to be able to provide that feedback. And so being able to put that, and I should have said, each of those, you're going to have that first 10, then they're going to have that fill in the blank. Then you're going to have the next 20, then the fill in the blank. So it'll follow directly right after that, so they won't have to go back and look to see. It'll be really easy and intuitive for them to fill that out.
On the choices that you selected, are any of them around like large neighborhoods that are coming in, or like did you take that into consideration?
There was some consideration on that. As a matter of fact, Olive between Washington and New Orleans, you have that new development just right there on the west side of Olive. That is going to be on the I'm directionally challenged here, so give me a second. That's the north-south.
Yes. Okay.
So that one is on there.
Okay.
Yep.
I just want to add that the emphasis here that we're going to communicate to the public is that there isn't going to be enough money to keep the tax rate the same, as council said that they want this to do, and so priorities are going to become important. And so getting the feedback from the public is going to be the information that my office will need to present the package, and the council will be able to say, okay, if the final dollar amount that would be able to do and no new tax rate, we won't know that till August of next year. And so by having the feedback, the council can say this was community driven by the fact that the survey results showed that these are the roads the public felt like were the top priority. And the administration thinks that we need to look at some of those streets where there is future development, because we see a lot of that right now where that's happening. And we need to, I think there's a whole nother discussion in terms of the infrastructure that is needed to be able to support the future growth of our community. But we need to take care of what's here first. And like we have, I believe, 9.5 to 10 miles of roads that are in 2 different bond packages that are currently in the construction cycle. So there's another 10 miles of road that's going to be actually widened in the next approximately 3 years or so, maybe 4 years. And there could be approximately 15 additional miles in this package, because over the years, the streets have always driven the packages. As Councilmember Parks knows, at one point it was about 90%, and it's gone down because we started adding quality of life and public safety. And so this package has to have the right blend, and obviously the streets and roads actually help drive the package. And so the public's opinion in this part of the micro survey is extremely important.
Agreed.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Item 7, conduct a public hearing for the proposed 2024-2025 fiscal year budget. Cindy.
Okay, we can't do this in 3 minutes and 41 seconds.
Oh, we're doing
And
it, Cindy.
we can't do a bullseye.
He says
we
you
did
can
Shark
do it.
Week, so I mean.
Okay, so Cindy Arnold, our finance director, and I are going to tag team the budget presentation. And let me just say that it is our pleasure to submit for the council one of your most important responsibilities as governing body members for the community is approving the annual budget. And we're going to walk through this obviously as thoroughly but as expeditiously as possible. And if anybody has any questions, just please stop us. Tonight's presentation is a culmination of actually budgeting goes on all year round. Once council approves the budget, which tentatively could be on the 17th of this month, that's when we start administering the budget council approved, but then we start preparing for the next year's budget. All that culminates in one sense that probably around December we start putting out requests for the upcoming fiscal year. We start putting all the information together, and then the months of February and March become very important because that's when we meet with directors regarding the capital improvements as the operating budgets, and then everything is put together and then presented to the council as it was this year in a workshop that was held on May 14th, where we dove into the actual request that came from the administration for the upcoming year. So tonight, the next slide here, Just some of these are just a reminder. The council they see these every year, but I think it's important because we have new residents coming in that may not know what the city's actual budget cycle is. City works on a fiscal year, which is from July 1st to June 30th. I just want to point out that while we may go quickly this evening, folks can actually watch this video, or they can go online shortly and to be able to look at the actual budget document with the executive summary itself, as well as the entire budget is on there. For them to be able to drill down and look exactly what's being proposed to be spent for FY 2025.
There's also a hard copy at the reception desk.
Okay. So, next one is budget considerations. I always like to start with this slide because there has to be certain factors, formulas, and considerations that you look at when you're actually formulating the budget. Sometimes it's not as simple as how are revenues coming in. There's a lot of other considerations that go in to actually determining exactly what the spending plan is going to be. So the first thing I wanted to mention is the city's vision, mission, and opportunities. This is what we're looking to accomplish this year. The first one is that public safety services and the community well-being. You heard Aaron talk about it. The survey showed it's the number one priority of our community is they want Broken Arrow to continue to be a safe community, and it's the pebble in the pond. If you're not a safe community, the negative ripples that you'll have within your community are far-reaching. Secondly is economic development, focusing on growth and prosperity. It was the second highest in terms of responses from the public about the mixture of development that's happening that they'd like to see, albeit at community development or economic development. So obviously making sure you have funds available to have a good economic development administration and to be able to go out and to seek additional businesses, especially with the tax model that we're unfortunately stuck with right now, being so heavily dependent upon sales tax. I mean, there needs to be a strong push to make sure that we're looking at trying to grow our retail, which the council knows we've talked about many times over this past 6 to 8 months, is trying to actually increase the number of businesses that are here so folks can shop local. Next is innovating municipal government operations. I kind of sum this up as how can we continue to be better? I mean, technology is great when it comes to serving the public, but really you have to have individuals, and we have 1,000 of them right now that are out there every single day interacting with our customers that are representing my office as well as the city council, and they need to understand the expectations, and I'm very proud to say that I think we do a really, really good job. So how can we continue to be better to meet those expectations? And as Aaron said, 8 out of every 10 folks that responded had a very strong, positive, favorable view of the quality of life within our city. The next item we take into consideration is fiscal sustainability and strategic public investments. We plan for today, but we're looking for tomorrow. And what I mean by that is that obviously our responsibility is to provide the services today, but we're trying to make sure that we have the resources and a plan in place to handle the growth that's going to be coming to our community. We've talked about stormwater management plans. We've talked about sanitary sewer, long-range water plans, transportation plans. We spent a lot of time working, Councilmember Parks mentioned the Wagner County initiative in order to address the planning to make sure that there's consistency in what we're doing together, because that's where the growth is heading. And so we spent a lot of time. To do that, you got to make sure you put money in the budget periodically to make sure that you can do those studies or you can add additional people where necessary. The next thing we always look at is transformational initiatives that help maintain a thriving and healthy community. I like to say this, it can't always be about asphalt and concrete. I mean, obviously that's the most important. That's what gets people to work, to soccer practice or baseball practice or wherever. But you also have a thriving community. It means you have things to do like Bullseye. Just dovetail perfectly, and is people want things to do, whether it's in your community or within your region, so you've got to make sure we budget for those. And then the last thing we spend a lot of time on is transparency and communication, and that's constantly telling a story, not a made-up story, but a story about what's happening in City Hall as well within the community. I think we do a really good job of that, and the council members actually parlay that with the things that they're out there doing and the other organizations we work with. So I think Broken Arrow overall has a very, very well-informed community. So the purpose of the budget serves, it's the following. It's a blueprint for providing municipal services for the upcoming fiscal year. We must match available resources within the community needs, and throughout the document it outlines the work plan and priorities for the organization. In the budget book, for those folks that are not familiar with it, there are several sections. The first is always the city manager's executive summary, which can be quite lengthy, but I do think by making it lengthy, if you read that, you can get a real good snapshot of exactly where we are in all of those areas that matter to the public. And then it matches up as they go into the various departments that they choose to do that. Next, the proposed revenues and expenditures for each fund, and as you know, we have well over 30 different funds, and that's a lot to actually manage. Proposed department expenditures, each year the directors have to come and defend their expenditures. It's not just a guarantee that it's going to be the same as it was last year. They have to defend those expenditures. We have special funds. We propose expenditures, revenues, and all those funds need to balance. We have a street maintenance plan. Back in 2017, the new street maintenance fund went into effect, and so we're blessed to have about $5 million approximately for street maintenance to combine with bond packages to be able to maintain the hundreds of miles of street we're responsible for. Every year that we're looking at our Oklahoma Water Resources Board loan program, obviously to keep our utility system up top-notch and meeting federal and state guidelines, we actually have to borrow money periodically to be able to maintain our system and upgrade it. And then one of the last things we look at is our manual fees, is actually what we charge our citizens for those charges that whenever they utilize city services. So there are 4 key budgeting practices that we spend a lot of time on, is once again focusing on long-term financial sustainability. I get concerned about where we are revenue-wise because we're so heavily dependent upon sales tax, and it's such an elastic type revenue source for the city that can go up and down with the economy, and we've seen that the last year and a year and a half or so. And so we continue to try to work with the legislature to look at other opportunities to make sure that there's funding that is sustainable or perpetual. We spend a lot of time trying to do revenue estimates and expenditures. It's very difficult when you have such an elastic form of revenue. We need to make sure under council's direction and by state statute is we have to ensure all our funds balance. And then we build in contingencies for unexpected extraordinary situations that happen, and I'm pleased to say that all of our funds meet the expectation council has for fund reserve policies. So before I turn this over to Cindy for her to say a few words here, is if I would encourage anyone that's actually going to take the time to look at the budget, if they would focus on pages 6 through 17. That is the program of work for FY 2025. So if you go back to those 5 or 6 key areas that I mentioned earlier as the priorities, there'll be items in initiatives, programs in those areas that match up with how we're going to continue to do those things. And so by reading those, approximately 12 pages, you can get a real good flavor of the things that we plan on focusing on in the coming fiscal year. And many of those are multiple years. For example, we talked about the micro survey. We've been talking about it for 3 years now. The first year was actually we needed to determine how we would do it. And last year, basically, council actually said we're going to do it. And right now, we're in the programming of the pilot programming of it, and we'll have those results just in a few months. That council will be able to look at those results and determine, based on recommendations from the staff, exactly what should be the next step. And so, some of these initiatives are multiple-year type initiatives. And with that, I'll ask Cindy to cover a few slides.
All right, FY25 municipal budget. The sales tax breakdown, Tulsa County is 8.4, Wagner County is 9.35. As you know, we go to the store and we pay 8.417 sales tax, but the city only gets 3.55, and it's broken down here by the general fund gets 1.5%, police and fire get 0.3, streets gets a quarter, SCCI gets a half, and the Tulsa County gets some. So this is where our breakdown is. Just we keep this every year for people to understand a little bit. Budget challenges is inflation, cost of goods and services. We know everything is going up. I mean, it's just fact of life. And supply chain availability of operation needs is getting very hard. As you know, in the past, we've had to buy and pay for ambulances, and we're still waiting for them, or fire trucks. And we're very over dependent on sales tax. As the city manager, Mrs. Spurgeon, said, it's that's our #1 revenue source. Mm-hmm. The proposed FY25 proposed municipal budget at this moment is $490 million, and it's a 38.1% increase over FY24, which is basically is capital. As we had talked over the budget workshop, there was a bunch of construction projects that are in different phases, but I've talked to the Director of Engineering, and Emily that handles the OWRB, we have about $60 to $70 million ready to go out the door. So. The breakdown of the FY25 expenses, operational is about $175 million. Capital outlay is $275,000, which is 68% over last year, and for some of the reasons I stated. The debt service, that goes up because we take on more debt to keep the millage right. So our total is $490,455,349. The general fund is $151 million. This includes expenditures, transfers out, and ending fund balance. As we said, we meet all our reserve policies, and we do have a good fund balance, which is important. The overall increase was 138. Last year's budget was 138 million, so it was increase of 9%. Basically, it's salaries increases, insurance has gone up, just plain everyday operational expenses. General fund revenues, total revenues for FY25 is $93 million. The revenue sources combined are 7.14 over last year. We project sales tax only at 1.5% this year because it's been kind of flat, and we've had months that it's been negative. And then the other revenues are based on historical data and current environment. One of the big things we have seen increase because of all the development and the economic development is an increase in building permits. General fund expenditures. Personnel services is 16.8 million. Other services, 7.8. Materials and supplies, 1.8, or about $1.9 million. And the transfers out is the $89 million, which is the police and fire. They each get a percentage of the current revenues. Total expenditures for is $115,674,000. The next big fund that we're actually going to, sales tax capital improvement fund. This is a 0.5 of the 3.55 of the city sales tax. Revenues estimated this year is about $10.5 million. Basically, this is pay-as-you-go capital. This is for like dump trucks or anything we need car-wise. We do have almost $2 million reserved for debt service. And then these are some of the bigger projects. The full listing is in section 4, pages 8 through 14. $150,000 for the generator at Tiger Hill, $100,000 for network upgrades. One of the big expenses this year is $1.6 million for HVAC at Bass Pro. We did, as you know, we did the roofs this year. We also split between the police fund and STCI, the police cars. We took half the money, instead of hitting the $2 million in the police fund for all their capital, we split it half into STCI and half in the police fund. $150,000 for the brush truck, and we need a couple of dump trucks at $650,000. And again, there's full listing in the book, section 4, pages 8 through 14. And then Mr. Spurgeon has touched a little bit on the street sales tax. It's a special revenue fund to keep our improving, constructing, and maintaining city streets and sidewalks. This fund is very important, and I think it's about $5 million we spend a year. So, estimated revenue is 5.2 this year. Projects for FY 2025 is to control panel placements, which is about $438,000. Concrete panel repair, which is a little over $4 million. Two of the big projects is the Chimney Ridge and the Arrow Village. And then there's a bunch of miscellaneous projects for $575,000. Oops, let me go back one other second. There is a full list in the budget book in that section, and I did not notate, and I forgot what section, sorry.
Just a quick note here is we are working on a plan to increase the amount of funding we use for striping. We talked about the budget workshop, and I'm waiting for Kenny and his team to come up with a recommendation with the upgraded painting. So we'll have something when I do, I'll make sure to get to council, but it would be within those dollars.
And then the next fund is Broken Arrow Municipal Authority. FY25 BAMA budget is $179 million. This includes expenditures, transfers out, any fund balance, capital outlay, and debt service. F-24 budget was 143. It's an increase of 24.9 in operating costs, capital outlay, reserve fund, and debt service. A lot of it is the capital. There's a lot of OWRB that is getting ready to go out the gate, which is very exciting. Rate, it's because of inflation. Rate increases necessary to pay for ongoing operations, planned capital improvements, and OWRB debt service. Rates had been discussed on May 14th in the manual fee section. We do actually have $8.5 million this year as pay-as-you-go capital. There is a proposed additional OWRB projects that we will be going out to in probably September, October. We met the other day and we settled exactly, there's been a couple of changes in the projects, well, that will come before you. It's still the same dollar amount, but there were some priorities that we thought was more important. So total OWRB projects, which is the Oklahoma Water Resource Board, in process in FY25 is $83 million. It's going to be. And we're going to finish up some of the older ones. The expenditures, personnel services is $26 million. Other services are $20 million. Materials and supply is 7.4. Total operating is $53,814,000. And then debt service is $13,560,000. And that pretty stays kind of the way they stack the debt. It stays pretty stable, goes up and down a little bit. And then transferred out is $21,265,000. Capital highlights. This year we're getting 3 additional side loaders for $1.3 million. A pallet jack, a fuel truck, which I think we definitely need, and then a 75-ton lift and a $350,000 street sweeper. In the section, which I think is section 3 in the back, there's a total list of capital projects for them. Section 3, 3842. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know what it was. The police sales tax fund. The revenues are $39 million. Expenses are $37.6 million. Currently, we have 150 sworn positions are authorized in the budget, and we have 160 filled, because the normal retirements and stuff in the department is 5 to 7, and we want to make sure that we have enough officers. So if we have 5 go out, we've got 5 coming up. Police sales tax, we have $1.6 million in police vehicles. Body worn cameras, we have another $80,000. The auto license plate reader is $204,000. And then miscellaneous, like tasers and rifles and guns, etc., is $180,000, and half their capital went into STCI for the cars. The fire sales tax fund, the revenues are $32 million. The expenses about $31 million. And all capital is in STCI. But the new fire station number 8 is currently under design, which is from the bond money. So, the general obligation bond program, we have $128.6 million in current 2011, 14, and 18 GEO bond projects. The proposed GEO bond projects for this fall will be about $21 million. In August, we will get our NAV, and that could go up. I don't expect it to go down. And that's why we're actually been able to do a 10-year program in a shorter time frame. That's why we're working so hard on getting the new list of bonds for the next project, because we need to sell earlier. And this is just listing what we're doing for this sale this time. The Proposition 1 is transportation. It's going to be $16,395,000. Quality of life is $3,255,000. Proposition number 6 is drainage. It's going to be $1.3 million for a total sale of $21 million. And again, that will change based on the NAV, because we've been doing our target millage at 16.5. Full list in the book, section 6, page 1.
Thank you, Cindy. Just to wrap it up, I want to take this opportunity, as I mentioned at the workshop, is to thank Mrs. Arnold and Tom Cook and their team for all the hard work. I mean, council has seen the amount of time and effort that goes into putting the budget book together and making sure that it is put together in such a way that it's really very understandable, and that if council has questions, they can easily find the answer to those questions. If not, we get those answers to you. Obviously, the directors that you can know from their attendance and the presentations that each year, several of them give to the council, put a lot of time and effort into preparing their budgets, and you can see they get very excited about to be able to come before the council and talk about what's important to them in their respective departments, and their staffs do a very good job. Cricket and Cricket Moore and Lori Hill, whatever is needed, they are the individuals that help finance and help myself put everything together. And then I would be remiss if I did not thank the council for the time and effort, because it's a lot to go through. And I just appreciate you staying engaged. The audit and finance committee that meets periodically is looking at where we are budgetary wise each quarter, as well as how we're doing on audit and other financial matters. And so the council, I believe, stays very engaged in what's going on with the budget throughout the year, not just when it comes time to approve it. And so I'd like to thank you for your time and attention to this important item. And with that, I'm glad to answer any questions that the council has regarding the budget.
Any questions?
And then we have to do the public
Oh,
hearing.
we do, okay. I'd like to open up the public hearing for the proposed 2024-2025 fiscal year budget. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Okay, so we've never had anyone speak, so he just comes up and, is that right? Okay.
Good evening, council. Thank you for having me. David Oldham here in Broken Arrow. Question I had was, I heard something about $1.6 million for Bass Pro's HVAC and Tiger Hill generator for $150,000. I was curious, and I'm hoping that we can get I can get a copy of the budget book, maybe before I leave or at some point, so that I can go through the budget. But I'm wondering what the city is buying private organizations, their equipment, if I'm understanding that right, and I don't know if I am. So I would be interested to hear about that, just because that just doesn't seem quite right. The other question that I had was, what do you mean by community well-being? And what are we considering economic development? Some of that sounds kind of, well, I just don't know what it means. And so I would be curious to hear what those definitions are and so forth, because some of it sounds like it should be in the private sector, and so I'm curious. And then the other thing that was curious to me was we have 1,000 employees doing work here in the city of Broken Arrow. That's a shocking number to me. I had no idea we had that many people working. So I'm curious as to what everybody's doing. So I thank you very much for your time.
Would you like for me to answer those questions, Mayor? The city owns the Bass Pro building. As a part of the agreement that we negotiated back in the 2004 timeframe when it opened, we have a public-private partnership, so that's actually our facility as well as the grounds. So we're responsible. We have an agreement for the lease of that facility with Bass Pro, which requires us to do maintenance on that building just as we would for any other city-owned facility. That's why, as Cindy mentioned, this year we took care of the roof, and also basically we're coming up on 20 years, and so the HVAC system needs to be replaced.
Tiger Hill we own.
Pardon me?
Tiger Hill.
Yes, that's something, our responsibility. We need a generator. We use that as a part of our emergency operations. So to make sure that we have communications and are able to make sure that we keep track of what's going on should there be a weather-related event. So community well-being, that's just a broad frame. Parks and Recreation, for example, would be an example of community well-being. Travel and tourism, trying to promote people to within our community. Doing initiatives that actually basically special events, those things that actually help Broken Arrow maintain that identity of a smaller community. Those are kind of things that we hear from residents all the time, that they want to continue to see the city invest in. New Orleans Square block party.
Yeah,
That would
attract
be,
people to our city so we generate more sales tax revenue, so we can continue to improve infrastructure and pay for our police and fire.
yes. Economic development. I mean, quality of life is economic development, and there's many different aspects of economic development. I mean, the most important thing we try to work on, and we do that through our partnership with the EDC, is the creation of primary jobs. Trying to get companies that are already here to look to expand, as well as trying to recruit new companies when the opportunities presents itself. Secondly is that, as I mentioned several times, because of the tax model that we have within the state, we're in competition with other communities for those dollars that are available to generate sales tax. And so it's important that we're out trying to recruit new businesses, as well as trying to get the new developments to reinvest. We make public investments, and we've seen, for example, in the Rose District, what has happened when the city's made public investments. The private investment has doubled. And so economic development would be primary jobs, secondary jobs, sales tax generation, travel and tourism opportunities, sporting events. I mean, it's really just, it's not just one thing or the other. If a business chooses not to locate in Broken Arrow, we've always said that we definitely would like to have them in our community. And so community development is new housing opportunities. I mean, there's just a lot that is a very robust definition.
I'm sorry.
No.
Our economic development, I think there's a lot of, economic development is a buzzword right now that has a negative connotation in some circles. And we do not have any partnerships for anything with the federal government for 15-minute cities or any of those things, and that go along with that economic development term. Yes, and I do want to speak up about that, because we are not on that path. We are not on that national trend pathway of becoming a part of the 15-minute city, crap that's out there.
No, I know, absolutely not. I mean, we focus on trying to, number one is, Broken Arrow is the third largest manufacturer in the state of Oklahoma, and so trying to act, what part of the EDC's responsibilities is to do business retention and going out and talking to those manufacturers to see where there may be opportunities to partner with them if they're looking to expand, or if we get prospects periodically that come in that want to locate in land that we have available. The city has a commitment at the Creek 51 Business Park. I mean, we're trying to create opportunities by investing public dollars that will promote private investment. Part of my definition, and I'm not going to let economic development be co-opted into a bad term, okay? Economic development is about creating an environment that promotes private investment, because that's where you get the growth and prosperity in your community. And so that's what we really try to focus on. But at the same time, if you don't have those places to shop, they're going to go somewhere else. And I can tell you, in most cases, convenience will trump the support of your city. In other words, if you live 6 minutes from the Reesers in Bixby, you're not going to drive 27 minutes to the Reesers on Kenosha. Most people won't. Chase Elkins will. Okay,
I have,
but and maybe Christy Gillespie and Mike maybe. But reality is, if you're not over there, you're going to go somewhere else. And so we're addressing those things to make sure that folks keep their dollars here in the city.
Because most people don't understand how our state runs, and that we're the only state that runs on sales tax. So.
Yes.
Well, and I think for us, I'll just speak for myself. For me, it is, we are creating an environment where people can be successful, and so that small business owners can be successful on their own. It's not the government taking over how they can be successable.
Yes. And we have a little over 900 full-time employees, and then we have about 100 full-time, part-time employees, which puts us just a little over about 1,009 or 10, I actually believe. So, if the budget gets approved.
Yeah. So. Which is under, I think, the
yes.
national average for a city our size.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We are a city of 115,000 too. I mean, we're growing, so you have to add
140,000 in our 3 zip codes.
That's correct. So it takes more employees, because our employees do a lot of work, more than what one employee would probably do in many other cities. They wear many hats, and they're very appreciated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bass Pro would be paid off this next year too, is that correct?
2025.
2025. Right.
All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, come on down. Come on down.
First of all, thank you, council. We appreciate you. I wasn't planning on speaking on this, but I love my city. My parents came here. My mom worked at American Airlines when I was 16 years old. My parents wanted a simpler life. So I love our city. When Michael brought up what he brought up, it just made me think about Christine knows my heart. My husband worked at Baker Hughes 22 years. Unfortunately, he was laid off 2 years into treatment, and he has leukemia, and he had kidney cancer, and then he just had a rare surgery for Cushing's disease tumor. So when I'm saying this, it's really a heartfelt issue for me, but I bet you there's others where quality of life, and I am on a very rare board. It's called the American Cancer Family Council. There's only 2 in the state of Oklahoma, and they invited me to be a part of that because I worked for Baker Hughes, and I was really involved in team-based management, which you all would call total quality management. What I now see I had a head injury, unfortunately. They had an aerosol spray that malfunctioned on the floor, and my best day became my worst day when I slipped and fell. But full circle moment, I now have a heart to help seniors with cancer. Because in our community, if you look in this room, there are more men in this room than there are women. And what we don't realize is that our men aren't looked at as much with cancer because they don't complain as much or they don't share their needs. And I see a man who is such a hard worker who worked at Baker Hughes 22 years, sometimes in despair because he lost his job 2 years into treatment. And we all know we love Baker Hughes, and that's why I love Michael Spurgeon, because he's always looking at what can our community do better? How can we attract other businesses? And the reason I'm sharing that is because I think that we need to look at our citizens that are maybe falling through the cracks, that maybe there are some families with cancer in our local community who have served for 22 years or who have served. And if we look at that quality of life piece, I love Lisa and I love Ross, because Ross has actually told me once at church, because we go to the same church, I'd like to hear your ideas, because that full circle moment when I fell, and here I was the secretary at the time. They don't even call secretaries anymore. But I was the secretary that was in charge of team-based management for all of our chief engineers and our chief customer service representatives, and we won the Malcolm Baldrige Award. So full circle moment, I see that if we can kind of look at our city and our citizens, and the city council can say, can we maybe look at some things where we can partner? Because the American Society Family Council wants those partnerships, and they're looking for them. And I know Christy has said, we don't have anything in place in our community, but what if in that mini part where we have that finances, we could maybe come together with citizens that are dealing with cancer and those like the American Cancer Society, and I can share with our board maybe some things that we could work together to make a quality of life issue for our families that have served in our community. My husband worked there 22 years. So I would just like to bring that to you, to present to you, to think of those ideas when you have that in your system, to say, what could we do to help with those families? And maybe it's partnering the Broken Arrow Police to fix a fence for somebody. Maybe it's those connections. Maybe it's not even so much money, or it's a gas card, because what you all don't know is LLS has a $500 gas card, but it isn't funded right now. It hasn't been funded for more than a year for a family with cancer in our zip code because there's no funds. But what if we could have these communication talks to make the quality of life, which is one of the issues? So I'd like to bring that up for you guys to just mull over in the next time and maybe chat with.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And one of the things I was going to talk about on our remarks was our Batmobile that we've been seeing all over town that just launched. And that's a great resource for that very thing within our city to get to doctor's appointments and things like that. But you brought up some really great points.
And if you have a car already and you're a senior, maybe you just need a gift card so you can get your tires fixed or you can get gas in your car. And I love the Bullseye Man, because my friend is Lisa Bain, who has three Bernese Mountain Doggies. And I was one of the first volunteers at her home before she even had a volunteer at her first charity. Yes. I just love her heart. She came to visit my husband when he was so down. So I know that's off the record, but I appreciate you all listening.
We all love Lisa too.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else? It's final time. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Great question.
Okay, we'll close out the public hearing. Thank you.
I just want to say I love the input of our citizens at the public hearing, because it is nice to just, no, keep on, like, just checking the boxes
Yeah,
and move on
because
to the
so
next
many, I
item.
mean, this is the first time we've ever had anyone speak, and so it is
I
refreshing.
knew that David was going to speak. I thought I know why he's here for another item, and I thought, oh, David is definitely going to speak on the public hearing. So I'm glad you're here, David.
Well, and we appreciate the questions. There are people who don't know that we own Bass Pro and don't know
Right,
we
yeah.
own Tiger
So
Hill.
now it's on record, so they
now
know.
people
Yeah, no,
know,
that's a
so
very good
appreciate
question if you didn't know, for sure.
If I can enlighten David Ullman any way, I feel better.
Yes.
I know.
All right, item 9 is general council business. And 9A, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of amended resolution number 1582, approving the incurrence of indebtedness by the Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority.
This has to be tabled or continued until after beta.
Okay.
Do we need a motion, or does it matter?
Trevor, do we need to make a motion to table it, or do we just?
You can announce it if you'd like to just announce that you're tabling it.
Announcement.
Just announcement. Okay, we are tabling item 9A, and we'll come back to that. 9B is actually being tabled until the next council meeting. Item 9C, consideration, discussion, and possible award of the lowest responsible bid to Cook Consulting and approval of an authorization to execute a construction contract.
Can I just put on record, 9B was tabled at the petitioner's request, not at our request. Is that accurate?
Yes.
At Floral Haven's request.
Yes.
Will it table till the next meeting, or do we know?
Yes.
Answer's yes.
Next meeting.
Till the next meeting.
Okay. Charlie Bright.
Thought I had a little bit more time, didn't know we were tabling the first. We'll go through it this one. So, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members, Mr. Spurgeon. My name is Charlie Bright, Director of Engineering and Construction. So for a few years now, city staff has been working, and several of you all, with the EDC on a committee for a new innovation district, now known as the Arrow Forge Innovation District. Happy to present tonight the first step of us working towards the infrastructure in that district. We've bid out the sanitary sewer plans first out of all the infrastructure to get it in place before we do the roads and everything else. This will consist of a gravity sewer line through the district itself, a lift station when you get over by the turnpike to bring it up, and then a force main pipe on the other side of the turnpike to get it back to our trunk sewer line in Aspen Street. We bid it out following state procedures, received 6 bidders, and our low bidder was Cook Consulting, approximately $2.2 million. So I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Have we worked with them before?
Yeah, they've done a lot of work for us.
So we're good. We're good then, okay.
Yeah.
How'd that compare to the estimate, Charlie? Would you just remind council?
The engineer's estimate was about 2.5 million, I believe, which was a good estimate because it fell right about in the middle of all the bids. It's, you know, sometimes this council asks why we see big differences in our bids, and I think this bid's a really good example to show you why. It really just matters who shows up on bid day. Because you see we got low bidders here at 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, but then we have some that are up at 3.3, 3.4. Well, if those middle people didn't show up, it would look like a huge difference between 2.2 and 3.4. So it's really dependent on just what contractors show up on bid day and how hungry they are. But I'm always happy, and I love it when we get 6 bidders like this because we know we got a good price, and you can kind of see the range of where people fall.
Yeah. All right. Any further discussion?
Well, and that construction will start probably when?
What's that?
When will that be built?
We'll settle after this contract. After this approval, we will do our contracts and bonds with them, which takes a couple weeks. We set up a pre-con, and then we'll usually negotiate a time with them to start. But I imagine they start in the next month and a half.
This summer,
yeah. Yeah, it should be constructed by the end of the year.
Good.
I know soon after, we are working on bidding the road and water line plans to go with it. So as soon as the sanitary sewer construction is done, we should be rolling straight into the road improvements and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to award the lowest responsible bid to Cook Consulting.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Thank you, guys.
Sir. Item 10 is preview ordinances. 10A, consideration, discussion, and possible preview of an ordinance amending Chapter 10, Fire Prevention and Protection, Article 1, and General Section 10.3. Trevor.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council, Mr. Spurgeon. At the last council meeting, staff was directed to revise and update the existing fireworks ordinance. By way of history, City Ordinance Section 10-3 currently allows persons within the city limits to discharge fireworks from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. only on July 3rd and 4th, and after they have obtained a permit from the city at a cost set forth in the manual fees. This was passed originally by ordinance number 2676 on December 20th of 2004 and allowed for the sale and discharge of fireworks with a $20 permit. On August 21st of 2006, City Council passed ordinance number 2822 calling an election on the following question. 1, shall the City of Broken Arrow allow fireworks to be discharged by individuals with a permit within the City of Broken Arrow? And the ballot question did not list the amount of the permit, but it did ask if fireworks should be discharged with a permit issued by the city. A special election was held on November 7th of 2006 that gave rise to the current ordinance. The changes that we had made was to remove the permit requirement and the fee requirement. And so if you look at the specific changes, specifically that section 10-3 subsection A, it states that the discharge of fireworks shall be unlawful within the city unless done in accordance with the provisions of section 10-3E. And that, and we'll go over that in a moment, but please note that we have left the permit requirement for the commercial public displays, similar to what you would see at the New Orleans Square. You're talking about a different class of fireworks, commercial type fireworks. We've left the provisions in there for the fire marshal to be involved, for the permitting, for the bond requirements on that. So none of that has changed. In subsection C, we did just clarify what permissible fireworks were. So we're talking about class 1.4G fireworks, also known as common fireworks, and then the larger class, which is the DOT special fireworks, class 1.3G. Again, that would be permitted for those commercial fireworks displays. Moving down to subsection D, it just specifically says that currently the sale or display of sale of fireworks is still unlawful within the city. I know that there's discussions about potential future changes on that, but that currently remains in place as a prohibition. If you go down to E, speaking about the prohibition, so while the permits and the fees are removed, there's still a prohibition that persons within the city limits may use or otherwise discharge permissible fireworks only from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. on July 3rd and 4th. And there are currently, the conditions that we currently have are also in there. So for example, it's still unlawful to explode or ignite fireworks within 500 feet of a church, hospital, asylum, unharvested flammable agricultural crop, or a public school. Those provisions have remained the same, so they haven't been removed about the location. If this body would like to remove those, they certainly can. Under subsection 2, that's where we have the permit requirement, and that has been completely removed. Also under subsection 3, we completely removed the requirement that the permit holder be physically present at the household and be within 60 feet of the front door of the permitted residence. Since we're not issuing permits that are tied to a geographic location, we've removed that requirement in there. We did leave the requirement that the person who sets off the fireworks is required to remove the debris. There is a fine of $225 if they fail to do that. In addition, under subsection 4, we did add that private persons may not use or discharge fireworks on any city or county property. So that would clarify that, for example, you couldn't go to the City Hall parking lot and set off fireworks at that location. The fine remains the same at $225 for violations of the section. However, we have remained to double the fine, which currently reads, for any use of fireworks between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. The fine is double what the fine normally is imposed. And we've kept the provision in there that if the governor calls a red flag fire alert, then the use of fireworks during that time would be illegal, obviously from the fire danger. So that's a quick overview of what the changes were. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
I have a few questions. Okay, where does it list the large displays? Because, I mean, because the way it reads right now.
Yeah, so under 13-3A, supervised public displays. So those.
Oh, and it's under 13.
I'm sorry, 10-3A, section 10-3A. So if you look at the very first, under manufacturer sale, use, etc., fireworks, it's the second sentence, supervised public displays.
Okay.
And that's what we're discussing.
So
that's not, it's different from the use of common fireworks by just any individual. So if you're using commercial grade fireworks at the New Orleans Square, you'll have to follow this procedure.
Okay. And, okay, that makes sense. Because when I saw that, I was thinking that could apply to, like, anybody doing a big public display. But it's using those specific larger fireworks.
Yes, ma'am.
And I do have a thought, I mean, don't a lot of churches do these, like, on their property?
Kind of like rockets over Rama. We did, yes.
Well, and so one of the things, I mean, one of churches is on here is where you can't do fireworks.
So at least with rockets over Rama, those are permitted commercial activities. So that would have been done with our fire marshal. That's a separate provision. You know, the subsection 1, as far as how that has worked, that's been in our law since I think 2004. Again, if there's any changes that you want to make to those specific locations, we can.
So it doesn't sound like they can't do it, they just have to get a
They
commercial
They would have to
permit.
get the commercial
They can get a
permit.
permit.
Right, if they're going to do a commercial show,
Okay.
for individuals who just want to individually set off their own fireworks, that's currently in the law. It says it shall be unlawful to explode or ignite fireworks within 500 feet of the church, hospital, asylum, unharvested, flammable
I didn't know we had
agricultural
an
crop.
Do we have an asylum?
That's
I want to
my
know where
house.
that is.
Where is that?
I don't, in case somebody tries to take me there, I'm going to say no.
Um,
I'm not going.
I know you also mentioned city properties. That include streets and sidewalks?
No, that's not going to include the streets and sidewalks. And we can clarify that language if you'd like. The intent of that section is, you know, fee simple owned property, such as our parking lot, coming here to City Hall, for example. But within the streets, that's allowed under the ordinance.
I don't think it would be a bad thing to clarify that it's okay to still do it, at least on streets, I don't know about sidewalks, but I don't know. I mean, because like you said, that's still city property, it's the streets.
If you'd like, we can remove the city property language.
Well, I think we need to keep, I mean, because we don't want them to be at City Hall blowing off fireworks. I don't know what's,
And people use, I mean, are we saying we can't do it on sidewalks?
Well,
People use
it's city
sidewalks.
property. As
Right.
well. That's why I'm
Right.
getting,
That's what
so
he's
we
trying
need
to
the
clarify.
clarification.
I think,
So
I think if we just clarify that.
Sure, and we can work on that language. So, like I said, that was on, let me see where we put that.
Section.
Yeah, I've lost my place. On,
It talks about a private person firing it off on a road over 26
Item
feet
4,
wide.
E4.
A4.
oh, here, I was looking at the wrong sheet.
E4.
Yeah,
That's pretty broad.
yeah, E4. So it says private persons may not use or discharge fireworks within any city or county county park, property, nor on any highway, turnpike, or any street that has paving in excess of 26 feet wide, such as an interior street or collector street. So that's very specific about the street.
Yeah,
So
that is.
as long as it's not in excess of 26 feet wide, like an arterial or collector street, they can use the fireworks there. We can just say, if you want to clarify the property, we could say, we could give examples of city property, such as buildings and city-owned parking lots, if that would help clarify.
I'm reading it that you can't do it on anything that's paved more than 26 feet. Any city
In excess.
property.
In excess, right.
yeah.
So if it's larger than 26 feet, such as an arterial street, and that's what the current ordinance says. And so if you want to remove or change that, we certainly can as well.
So that to me reads that you could still do it on a subdivision
Residential,
street
yeah.
or a sidewalk.
Well,
Correct.
you'd be more likely to have traffic though on a larger street. So it looks like that we need to leave it the way it is.
Yeah, I think I think it's fine the way it is.
Yeah, I think it's fine the way it is.
And I think this would be something we can talk about if we decide that we want to allow people to sell, is that had a question about the $750, because I just wasn't sure how much it costs normally to get an annual license, but for different businesses.
On DE 8,
Yeah, but that would be something we would talk about.
if we decided.
Yeah.
Allow
So
that.
this was put in there, I'm reading this, for if there's someone in the county that gets annexed into the city and they've been selling fireworks, we can let them continue to sell fireworks for up to 2 years, 2 seasons, following their annexation. There had to have
Right.
been, this had to have been written for someone specifically.
Yeah.
It seems
Very.
like that we annexed their property in.
My
at some
understanding
point.
from speaking with Farhad Drogo, who's been here and is our resident historian, that at the time, we had several existing fireworks stands that were basically grandfathered in.
Okay.
My understanding is none of those currently operate, so.
Okay.
Okay.
I do want to revisit that, but not for this.
Yeah,
I don't
for
think we
next
can
year.
get it done this year, so.
Well, the plan
So it
is to
doesn't
actually
matter.
put something together this late this summer, this fall, and bring it to the governing body to look at.
Okay.
I had one more thing that was brought to me regarding well, a lot of things, but one thing I'll mention. Folks were talking about the possibility of putting in this proposed new ordinance to allow them to be shot off during New Year's Eve. I don't know if it's something we want to consider or been thought about, but it has been brought up several times.
I like New Year's Eve.
Okay.
I'd be for it.
Just a thought.
Anybody else? Nobody else is for it?
I don't mind either way. Yeah.
I don't know that I have a thought either way either.
If it's just one more night of the year.
Maybe better than doing what we do in the country and go out and shoot guns in the air and
what I was
have
gonna say. I
bullets
think that's
falling
what-
down on everybody's
That's what
head.
they're shooting, that's what they're doing now.
The fire chief would like that, wouldn't you?
He's like, no.
All right.
That's a standard answer,
We
no.
appreciate the preview.
Yes,
Go from there.
okay. So I do have 2 people who want to speak, so I'll allow them to speak first. Teresa and Mark Stewart.
Actually, just me.
Oh, okay.
He couldn't come. He asked me to speak for him. He really did, actually. So, I am a child that lived in California and I love fireworks. I'll start with that. But I also know that we have a lot of veterans in our community, and we also have a lot of people that have cancer with PTSD. And so I'm going to speak a little bit from that perspective, and I hope you all hear my heart. Because I know veterans that unfortunately are taking THC on a day when they have to deal with fireworks. Because for them, it's a totally different ball game than what we deal with. And I sent this to Michael and Christy actually last year. And I said, thank you for listening, because I'm just one perspective, but I hope you hear my perspective and my heart. This is called L-theanine. This is called GABA. I have to give it to my little dogs. This is my Cocker Spaniel. Her name is Bailey, and she is a precious little dog. And she hovers in for 3 days. I have to shut down everything I'm doing, and I have to sit on my couch with her shaking, and I have to give her medication because of the trauma that she deals with. Now we've got veterans that are dealing with that trauma, and I'm one that loves a good firework. I grew up in California. But what I would like to see is I would like us to look at Salt Lake City. I would like us to look at Boulder, Colorado. I would like us to look at some of the ones that I've sent you all in the past, Los Angeles. And, you know, Oklahoma City doesn't allow fireworks within their community. And I want to show you this, and you're not going to all be able to see it. But this is a firework last year that blew up in my area, and we live in a cul-de-sac. And unfortunately, it's only 1 second long, but you can see it blowing up in this, and I don't know if you all can see it, but I'm going to show you. Could you hear that? That firework blew up, and there were children right there in the cul-de-sac. I asked my husband how far that was from our home, and he said it was about 50 feet. And unfortunately, that's where we live. Now, when we lived on Delmar and Stacy Lynn, when they were not allowed in city limits, we had a fire, and thank God that we were home, because in the back where those new homes are in the field behind Delmar that have been there for several years, that's where the fire was. We called the police or the fire station, and they weren't allowed to do them, but unfortunately they did. And it was a good thing we were home and we had our blinds, because my husband had to get the hose and he had to put it on the fence. So I'm only I'm not trying to complain, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I'd like you to consider other alternatives. What if we could have an amazing drone show to make the money up for the city that the city would maybe lose on the permits? What if we could think forward thinking of what new cities are actually doing to help our vets and to help cancer patients? My husband has to take medication. So anyway, if you guys could think about that, I would so appreciate your kindness, because I know that there's other people that didn't get to speak tonight. I think the safety issues, we could look at Piedmont and some other ones. Anyway, thank you for listening. And thank you for meeting my little dogs.
Thank you.
Because I know there's a lot in our community that deal with the same thing.
Yes, thank you so much. David Oldham.
Okay, thank you. I'm rise tonight to commend you for the direction that I've heard this discussion going. I'm sorry I couldn't stay 2 weeks ago and speak at that point in time, but I did listen as I was driving off to a work thing that I had, and I was very pleasantly surprised by the direction of the conversation. I think we have a lot more work to do. I think what we have is a good working model. My biggest concern is prohibitions. As you know, a lot of times I'm standing up here and problem is prohibition. Somebody telling somebody else they can't, when in reality it works the other way around. Just to remind, the board's position is to create standards so that we don't get explosions or that are running amok, or if we do, that people are held appropriately responsible. So held responsible that they never want to make that mistake again. And I would hope that that would be the direction rather than prohibition. And let's remember, every single permit, license, etc. starts with abject deprivation, abject prohibition, and then you have to buy your rights back. That is every single one, but that is, and then there was even words thrown around, shall we allow? I'm sorry. Wrong way around thinking. I know it's typical, but wrong way around thinking. So let's continue to work on it. Let's get this done, but let's continue to work on it. The other thing is, we all are Americans in this area. Whether even if you're of Native American heritage, you are an American citizen. This is the 100th anniversary of Native Americans being granted U.S. citizenship. So for 100 years, we have all been the same. But we have to pay, I would have to pay a $750 fee because I'm not Native American, whereas the Native Americans get to sell on their land for nothing. So we've got to make sure that all of the laws and the treatment of everybody is exactly the same. So I would be I love the parts where we are actually doing the regulation. Like, you gotta maintain things in good order, do it on a hard surface, don't catch other people's stuff on fire. Okay, that's all proper. But the saying we can't do it, that's a problem. That there are limits on timeframes in terms of limits, after 11 o'clock, that's perfectly valid because other people have rights. But there's Chinese New Year, there's New Year's here. There are probably going to be other times that fireworks are going to, we should be allowing, and I put that in air quotes. Okay, so I would like you to think about a lot of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
I think what I heard you saying, not David, but Madam, is some of the things that we're doing, they are empowering our police more, because now because we don't have to pay to have a permit and ask permission of the government to do fireworks, police just know if you're shooting fireworks off after 11 p.m. and before whatever time in that middle of the night, you're going to get an extra fine. You're going to get even more trouble. If you are, if you're doing fireworks on different times, like of the day, like outside of July 3rd and 4th, we don't have to look and see if you have a permit or not. We can enforce the law. And to me, it's better for our police department, because we didn't change anything as far as when you could do fireworks. All we did is make it easier for police to enforce our laws, because it's, they don't have to check, did you get permission to do this? Everyone has permission. If you're doing it, you just need to obey the rules. Unless you're under 12, without a parent.
Without a parent. I think the thing with the maintaining a permit, it does give us the ability to reinforce our ordinance on it and educate people on reminder of when the dates are, setting the standard of when it's proper.
Yeah. And
it's not saying you're allowed.
I think we need to communicate it better.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, we don't have a newspaper anymore. We don't have things to mail out to people anymore. So not everyone's on social media.
I agree with you, but I think you need a permit also to have somebody that is responsible, you know what I mean, for it. Now, I'm opposed to paying it. We don't make a lot of money off the permits.
Yeah,
I'm not for that, but at least have a permit of somebody that's in charge. So really the only way I'm in favor of it, and you're gonna have a lot more complaints from people that don't want the fireworks, but I think that we need to have a permit system similar to what we did have, and have the rules and regulations, on that permit, so that they would make sure they know that.
I think we can get out the information to the people selling the fireworks for rules, ask them to put them out with whatever, they won't, they will or won't. But I think we can get the information out through social media, through the, our utility bill that we do mail out. And I don't know that, when people have gone online, I think they go online, they pay the fee, they hit yes, and they move on. I don't think they look at that. I think it's up to us to put that out there via all the avenues that we use right now and be done with the permit.
Is there a, Chief Berryhill or Chief Moore, is there what's the pros and cons of having that standard in place?
Like having a permit and not having a permit.
And not having a
Not
permit.
talking about paying for it, just having a permit. Come on down, Chief Berryhill. Would it be better to have a permit with no fee for enforcement for the police?
Setting the standards.
I think that's what the mayor's trying to ask, right? And then
Yes.
Yeah.
So much we're talking about fireworks.
So do we.
Yeah.
I hope we
Let's
can
stop
talk about it
let's
every
stop talking
council
about it
meeting.
and then just do away with it.
Ask all these
If we
questions.
do away with the permit, we don't have to talk about it anymore. How about that?
I'm for that. Okay, so what's the question?
Will it make it easier for you to enforce with or without a permit?
So
That's what I'm hearing.
you still have to catch the person using the fireworks. So we're still in the same boat of if someone calls, or we'll have patrols out there for the off hours. So we're no longer going to have patrols out there during the times when it's allowable, because there's nothing that's illegal unless it's something that's, concerning for the fire chief. So that part we won't have to worry about. Outside the hours where it's not permissible, you're still going to have people out there enforcing after 11 o'clock at night. You still run into the same problem of seeing the person doing it. You have to see it with your own eyes to write a ticket for something to write a ticket. It's not committed in your presence. You still have to have someone sign the back of the ticket. It's called will file or citizen's arrest, but you're not arresting the person. So the enforcement part of it is still you have to have eyes on when it happens. So you're still going to have to witness the action. Before, when the permit was here, you had to witness the action, then ask if they have a permit. Now it's just witness the action outside the hours where it's allowable.
Because then they're violating the ordinance itself, so.
Yeah, so after 11 o'clock, someone calls
With or
in and
without
says
a
they're
permit.
using fireworks. Unless you're standing right there when it happens, and you drive let's say you're like 4 blocks away. You get there, they're not popping the fireworks, you can't do anything. And they say, well, they were in that house right there. You walk up, knock on the door, where you find fireworks, they're going to say, no. And then you go to the neighbor and say, so you're going to have to witness in real time to write a citation.
Wouldn't that be the same way too for the debris the $225 fee if they don't pick up their trash? Because the officers would have to see them leaving the trash there after they pop the fireworks, you know what I mean?
I think Jerry Schubert can answer that question since he's over there. Solid waste and recycling. It's the same problem. So who separates what debris?
I mean, because even if they had a permit, even though they didn't have to pay for the permit, and they had debris in front of their house, the police would still have to see, or a citizen could sign the back of a ticket saying that I saw them pop the fireworks and that's their debris that's there, and they would go to court to say that for the $225 fine.
So this being the first year, I can't tell you if there's going to be more after hours than there was last year. That's something that we won't know until after this year's over.
Right.
I mean, I do feel for our veterans, as we all do, and for the animals, because we know City of Broken Arrow, we have a lot of animals in this city. I just still feel like we need to keep it like from 3 to 11, because then if you don't, I'm afraid it's just going to be willy-nilly all week long, if not 2 weeks long.
Oh, yeah,
so at
we're
least they know they have that time frame.
Yeah, we're not changing the time.
Yeah, and I don't care about if they have to pay for it or if they don't have to pay for it. I mean, I'm okay with them not paying for it. I still kind of feel like the permit thing and the education piece is important. And if they think they may even have to pay $225 for not picking up their trash.
So, but here's the thing that makes no sense about it, though, is people are doing it without a permit regardless. And so we need to educate everyone. Now we're going to pat ourselves on the back and say we did a great job because we educated the people that said, yes, I will jump through your government hoop. You get educated on how to do fireworks. But everyone else, we feel good about ourselves now that we gave you education. We should be educating everybody. It's our job as a city to educate everyone on safety.
Well, and I think that's going to happen. I don't think we're
got the permit.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do it just if they get a permit, and we're going to be secret the rest of our social media. I think
but it's like we need to give it to everybody. It's not. They're not going to be more educated because they got the permit. And because I've thought about this a lot, because I thought about it the same way as you did, and I thought everyone needs to know. Like, I mean, we need to make it a purpose that we're sending out all the data. We're sending it out in the utility bill. We're sending it out on social media. It's on our website. We're sharing it. I mean, what else can we do? I mean, we can't legislate common sense. I mean, but what we can do is do our best to help the people make good decisions.
I get the permit because I'm a law-abiding citizen, but I don't read the permit. I just get the permit and give you my $25.
That's the thing. We're jumping through a hoop,
Yeah.
and that's
Just throwing it, being honest.
some of us are rule followers. Some of us are.
Did you vote July the 4th?
I am a
I'll be here
rule
pretty
follower.
quick.
That's why I don't like this.
Still be talking about it.
Yeah.
And for the record, I think Bullseye looks like a younger version of Chief. I think they may have modeled that after you.
Yeah, I don't have the body for spandex.
Younger version.
Any other questions I can answer for you?
Can you hold your thumb up like this?
See?
Oh, I wanted to take a picture.
I did it quick.
Do we need to hear from the fire chief as well? Are we over it?
Excuse me,
Well,
Mayor.
I've been-
Sure,
I've
let's
been
bring the
over
fire
it. I've
chief
been over
up.
it before
We
you.
have
Let's
Mr.
just keep
Stevens
talking.
has a
Excuse me, Mayor.
point of
Yes,
order.
sir.
She has one question that she wanted to know if she could ask.
Yes, you may ask one question.
Thank you,
I
Chief.
know this is a hot topic, literally. So I think that we need to also look at, like, how many dogs end up in the kennels? Do we know?
No.
Or how many fires do we have
We would know
that
that.
the firemen are having to put out? And why can't we look at a win-win solution possibly? I just think it's one-sided right now because of the revenue that the city gets, and that may not be the
We're
case.
ending that. Yeah, we're not
We
having
don't get
revenue.
Awesome. Because I was thinking, why can't we have alternatives to teach new ways? Because you guys mentioned that. Why can't we look at the cost of the fires and the property damage? They all would know that. We should have rights too. I heard that man at the beginning after me say that there should be rights. Families with cancer and families that deal with the trauma, we should be able to have an alternative like the drone shows where all of the families can go safely to a city program that could be spectacular. That word spectacular, our city could stand out like the other cities are now standing out. Because as we know, Oklahoma City doesn't allow this. We know that other cities don't allow it. But what if we could be more forward thinking in this and make it a win-win for everyone, is my
And,
suggestion.
Did you know, I mean, the city has voted, the citizens voted to allow fireworks in our city.
Yeah, the
We
Right.
can't make a
voted.
decision, I mean, the citizens voted for
Okay,
that.
then I want to say if we're going to allow 500 feet of fireworks within the city, I would like to make that one suggestion on changing that to also say we live in a cul-de-sac. My husband told me that was about less than 200 feet away from our property. One was shot over our fence and our dog got it. What if my dog died from that rocket? It was one of those rocket ones. I had a picture of it and I kept it for almost a year. It shot over my yard, talking about cleanup. That person can't clean it up. It shot over in my yard. And my dog literally could have died if it swallowed it. Then whose rights are those? I don't get rights then because that came over in my yard and I don't have a say in that.
Yeah.
And my
That's-
dog could have died. My friend's
think
dog
that's-
did die in Hawaii for the very reason it got scared and jumped the fence and got hit by a car.
Okay. I think that's when you talk to your neighbors and you have actual conversations with neighbors.
We try.
Yeah.
But in the
But we
cul-de-sac,
can't legislate
but
that.
but
you
in the
can call the
cul-de-sac, when you
police for
say,
things like that.
can you make a change in the ordinance? When you say so much, can we say also in the cul-de-sacs? Because,
But there's people in cul-de-sacs that want to shoot off fireworks, so.
well, what
that's-
happens if we have a fire on our roof? Then
And
who's
it's-
liable?
It's not closer than 25 feet from any permanent structure.
Right, and so my husband said it's less than
Yeah.
200 feet, but we had it shot over. Those Roman candles, as you know, go pretty far. So maybe there needs to be some stipulations then about the Roman candles possibly, just a thought. Because they are dangerous and they do go over roofs.
Thank you for your question.
Yeah, we'll take that. Nikki.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right.
So,
Any further questions
I
or
think that was a good
discussion?
preview.
yeah.
Trevor, do you have any other questions for?
Well, I think we need to be more clear on allowing, like, what we're doing about the actual permit.
Right, the request is just as directed by council. We requested to change the language for the permit and the fees. That's what we've done. And so it's really up to council to either, set the preview ordinance for adoption or set it for adoption with changes or to leave it the way it is. And
So-
the council really does have plenary power here. This is a police power issue. You're not restricted. I mean, you have the whole choice of options here.
Well, my choice is no permit, no fee.
City manager, do you have anything that you'd want to add as far as?
No, I think the education is very important, and
I agree.
And I think, does the fire department, you guys do you put out that information out?
Some of Aaron's office, yeah.
Okay. Well, we should probably push it out through your social media, police's social media, just all the resources.
You know, we could even get with the fireworks retailers and put up some education stuff there, some signage with education. Put some flyers out.
We're just driving around and go pop in and hand them a flyer.
Put a sign out, they can read it.
Stand out front.
We know Johnny doesn't shoot fireworks, so he's good time.
He's got
He is
time
an
on his
at-large
hands.
counselor, so he can get at-large around the fireworks stands.
I'd tell them not to buy them.
Well, and it really should be on the people selling, and I realize a lot of who's selling it in our city are on, or everyone selling it in our city are on tribal lands, but there's not that many. I mean, there's really not that many.
That doesn't
in our
mean that they
city.
won't help us educate. I mean,
That's
you know.
what I mean.
Well, and the
It's not
fireworks
like
that are
it-
sold
you
have
can't-
education on them.
Yeah.
They come with directions.
Yeah. But it comes with directions to how to shoot off the firework,
Safely.
not what our ordinance is.
Right.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Well, I will make the motion that we, I mean, everything that we've talked about, but minus the fee and minus the permit. And we will, I mean, we don't have to put this in the ordinance, but with the knowledge that we are going to be proactive in educating the public about fireworks safety.
Yeah, this already has no fee in it, right?
Right.
Correct,
That
per
was the
the
previous-
direction
Okay,
last,
So the only thing would be deleting or
permit.
leaving the permit.
and that's deleted as well in this
Yeah,
version.
it's- Okay, so it's both of them aren't in there, so I'll make the motion to approve item A.
A motion and a second, roll call?
Second, has
I'll
it,
second.
there we go.
Oh, I was like, I don't see a second.
Does this mean we're not talking about fireworks anymore?
No, I'm sure this will not be the end.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Okay. Item 11A, consideration, discussion, and possible adoption of ordinance number 3831, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance for the city of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, approving BAZ 1141-2024. Rocky Hinkle.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of council. Rocky Hinkle, Community Development Director. Before you tonight is consideration, discussion, and possible adoption of ordinance number 3831, amending the zoning ordinance of BAZ-001411-2024. Rezoning case BAZ-001411-2024 changed the zoning from A1 to RS4, which contains 9.63 acres. It was approved by south of West Florence Street. Staff recommends that council adopt ordinance number 3831 and approve the subsequent item for the emergency clause.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Anybody else?
I have a motion and a second. Roll call? Item B is the emergency
I'll make,
clause.
yeah, so I'll make a motion
Somebody,
for the
just one
emergency
person.
clause.
I was gonna wait for you to say it. I was just gonna jump in there. I was like, oh, probably should wait for you to say
Okay,
it.
we have a motion and a second. Roll call. All right. Remarks, inquiries by governing body members. Well, I will start. I think everyone needs to put on their calendar for Memorial Day weekend to go out and experience the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier reenactment. The Youth on Guard is so impressive. The youngest this year was 13 years old, but they literally train like the Sentinels at Arlington Cemetery, and it's 24/7 starting at 1 p.m. on Saturday, and it goes until 4 p.m. on Monday. And you can go in the middle of the night or early in the morning, rain or shine, and they are out there guarding that tomb. And it's literally the only place that does a reenactment in the state, and I mean in the nation. So you have Arlington and you have Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. So if you haven't been, put it on your calendar to make sure to go out there. Do you want to talk about the block party?
Yes, I would love to talk about in my New Orleans Square. So,
Point of order.
Justin,
Our New Orleans Square.
Justin, and for those of you watching, Justin and I have a running joke because we share New Orleans Square. He has half of it and I have the other half in my ward. But the block party is going to be a 3-day extravaganza this year. So June 27th, 28th, and 29th. And we will have concerts every single night. It's going to be amazing. The 28th and 29th, Friday and Saturday, the intersection will be shut down at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, sometime in the afternoon. And then there will be fireworks both nights. So great night. Bring your family, bring your lawn chairs, plan to come and just hang out and have fun. There's going to be tons of food, vendors, all kinds of great things to do. And, bring young and old. Everyone should come.
It'll be incredible. We'll have some of our local artists. We'll have big names that you'll recognize. I don't want to ruin all the surprises, but you won't want to miss out. It doesn't matter what your genre of music is. Yeah. It's going to be quality, incredible family fun. So come on out to New Orleans Square and enjoy.
Are they going to have reggae?
I won't ruin all the fun. I'll let you figure that out on your own. Or you can watch the upcoming podcast that will be discussing some of the top names that will be there.
Okay.
Well, Justin and I, we arm wrestled to see who really is in charge of New Orleans Square.
I kind of feel like Johnny is. I think all of it's Johnny since he's at large.
He's at large.
Just saying, Johnny, just throwing you in there. I just want to say, if you want to warm up for New Orleans Square Block Party, tomorrow night's Tuesdays in the Park, which is why we're meeting tonight for City Council. And it'll be every Tuesday for the month of June. And you can get food and have good music, and it's a great family fun event to be there. And then this Saturday, Broken Arrow Public Schools barbecue and bingo at the Property Event Center. I don't know if they still have tickets or not, but it is a fundraiser for the Broken Arrow Public Schools. Can you all believe? Look at me. See, Broken Arrow Public Schools. It'll be a fundraiser for their foundation. So if you're not able to make it, send them money anyway.
Yes.
There you go.
We're really not supposed to advertise from here, but the Civitans have the best hamburgers tomorrow night, on Tuesday nights, all through the month, so don't forget.
But the Civitans does really good things with the money that you
bet
collect
they do.
selling that, then you give it back to the community.
Donate
So
it, give it back to the community.
I think it's fine for you to advertise that.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. City Manager?
I just have a couple of things, Mayor. Just want to thank the TED team, specifically Aaron and Michaela. They both left for the presentation, and also for the hard work of the Tourism Board to come up with this idea, which I think is going to be very well received. I know the Elfs were very well received a few years ago, and so I'm excited to see how we're going to roll this out. So I appreciate their efforts.
I think Norm's profile picture is still off in my phone, actually.
It is still when Norm, if he ever calls, it's like, that's what comes up on my phone. It's Norm in the Elf suit.
I actually look at that every year. I have that video, and I check it out every single Christmas. Secondly is that thank you for approving the contract for Arrow Forge for the sewer. I'm very excited that we're actually going to put shovels in the ground very soon, and then be awarding potentially another contract right after that to continue completing the infrastructure. I've said that once we get that infrastructure in, that's going to be a key driver to being the proverbial shovel ready. You talked about New Orleans Square. It is a public-private partnership that goes in. I want to thank the Special Events Committee, Rocky Hinkle's team, and also I know Grant Rissler and Kendra Carlson. They're working very hard with our partner to make sure that everything goes off well. This is the third time that we've done this, and it's very exciting that we're able to expand it. That's what Council's vision was, is to create more opportunities at the square, and so I'm excited to see that. Also, last Friday, Chief Berryhill, Brandon Berryhill, announced that he's going to be retiring at the end of October, and we'll have a chance to celebrate his 30 years of service at some point before he goes. But I just want to thank him publicly at this point, and also let you know, as I'll be meeting with the HR director in the next few days to actually begin deciding exactly how I'm going to go forward with the recruitment to fill the position, and I'll update the council whenever I've made the decision how to go forward. I do obviously it's an extremely important position, a director leadership position within our community. So, my goal would be to get the advertisement out working with the recruiter within the next 30 days or so, and then starting receiving applications to where be in a position to have a list of finalists for consideration shortly before or right after, maybe even possibly, depending on the candidate pool, to be able to name someone right around the time that the chief leaves. So I'll let you know. I'm sure I'm going to get some questions about it now that the announcement is out, but I want the council to know first. We'll be looking at it and moving forward to try to find someone to fill that very important position. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. We have no executive session.
Move to adjourn?
Excuse me.
Oh, wait.
We got to come back to
sorry.
council.
I'm sorry?
We have to come back to the
I forgot
council
we have to-
for
Never
item
mind, I
9A
rescind my move to adjourn.
after beta.
We gotta come back.
Oh, right, okay. Take a motion for a brief recess to go into
So
Bama.
moved.
I'll second that motion.
Bama.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to take a brief recess to go into Bama. Roll call.
Green.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Parks.
Yes.
Gillespie.
Yes.
Wimpy.
Yes.
Yes, and here.
Oh, here. So sorry. You were supposed to correct me.
He said yes,
I
too.
said yes.
Okay. Call the Broken Arrow Municipal Authority to order. Roll call.
Green.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Parks.
Here.
Gillespie.
Here.
Wimpy.
Here. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda?
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. There are no public hearings, appeals, presentation, recognitions, or awards. No general authority business. Any remarks from governing body members? City manager?
Just a couple, Mayor. First is that the new operational building for the maintenance department is nearing completion. And when it does, I'd like to invite the council members to come down, take a tour of this facility. It's really nice facility, and I know that Ryan very much is going to do amazing things with it to help make sure we maintain our vehicles and equipment. So that's just an invitation, obviously, to be discussing with you at some point in the very near future. And secondly, one of the things I'm excited about in the budget that the council heard the public hearing is those side loaders. Those side loader vehicles are extremely important for our community. So looking at the different things in Bama, I mean, all of it's important. Anything that the staff gives, they're very appreciative. But those side loaders are very important with the just increase proficiency of the department. So just want to say thank you.
We have no executive session.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call. Call the Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority to order. Roll call.
Green.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Parks.
Here.
Gillespie.
Here.
Wimpy.
Here. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call. We have no, item 5 is public hearings, appeals, presentation, recognitions, and awards. There are none. Item 6A in general authority business is consideration, discussion, and possible approval of amended resolution number 1581.
Good evening. We discussed this last meeting, and it was, it's for the infrastructure down at the amphitheater. Originally, the resolution stated there would be a promissory note, but the banks want a sales tax revenue. So that's all we're doing. That's the only difference at the resolution. So this is just amending resolution 1581, and staff recommends approval and authorize amended resolution 1581. We have talked to a couple of banks. We have one interest rate, but that's really, we're still talking to another one. The goal is to close, I think, about June 14th and be funded so that we can get this project going.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion, we approve the amended resolution number 1581.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Any remarks by governing body members? City manager?
I have none, ma'am.
We have no executive session.
I'll move to adjourn?
Second.
a motion and a second. Roll call. All right, we are back in regular council, and let's see.
Item 9A.
Yes, 9A. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of amended resolution number 1582.
And this is just the city council approving the indebtedness of the Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority, issuing a sales tax revenue note not to exceed $26 million.
I'll make the motion that we approve that.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
We need the second.
I did. I'm sorry.
Click it.
I didn't click it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Entertain another motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Third.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. We are adjourned.